Hello everyone, this is Sierra Earle from the Kenton County Public Library Local History and Genealogy Department. Today I'm going to be talking about Find a Grave, and I'm going to focus mostly on how to add memorials, edit memorials, and get started with putting people into the database. If you have any questions, please contact me at 962-4070 or email me at history@kentonlibrary.org. Okay, so before we get into the database, I just want to go over a few etiquette things for adding memorials into Find a Grave. If you are unsure, please get permission from the cemetery or cemetery board to document gravestones. If you notice that there is a cemetery that has no entries on Find a Grave, there might be a reason for that. So it's best to always get permission or make sure that the cemetery wants people to add their gravestones to Find a Grave. When you go to the cemetery and you're taking photographs to add to the memorial pages, please do not clean gravestones for photographs. When in doubt, don't touch anything. We have seen a lot of cases where people have gone out to cemeteries with the best of intentions and cleaned stones off to take photographs and damage the stones. So please do not clean gravestones for photographs and do not touch anything. Also, if you are abbreviating Find a Grave, please make sure that you use FG. In online forums, you may also see FG or FAM. That stands for Find a Memorial. So please be aware of those etiquette guidelines. Okay. Let's go to Find a Grave. So let's go to the database, and I'm going to get started with showing you guys how to add memorials. So give me a second to load. Perfect. So before I get started, I just want everyone to know that I have already logged in to Find a Grave just to keep things moving here during my presentation. If you do not have a Find a Grave account, you will need to create a profile. It is free to join Find a Grave and use Find a Grave, so you'll need to do that in order to add memorials and edit memorials to Find a Grave. So please take the time to do that before you get started or before you decide you want to add memorials to Find a Grave. That will save you a lot of time. So this is the main Find a Grave page, and you'll notice that you have your basic search function in the center here. A lot of you are probably familiar with that if you've already been searching and using Find a Grave. But up here in the top, there's a tab. There are tabs up here in the top bar. There's a memorials tab, a cemeteries tab, a famous tab, and a contribute tab. So on Find a Grave, the pages for our ancestors and family members, those are called memorial pages. So you can search memorials here. If you are interested in locating a cemetery, you can click on this link here, and this will take you to a page where you can search for cemeteries. The famous tab will take you to a page where you can search for memorial pages and graves that have been marked as famous by contributors on Find a Grave. And then this will take you to all of the contribute tools. And contribute tools on Find a Grave include not just adding a memorial, but you can also transcribe photos and make edits and suggestions. So there are a lot of different tools here that you can use. Since we're going to focus today on adding and editing memorials, let's go ahead and first we'll look at the memorials page here. Okay, so you can see that the memorials page here has your basic search function, but it also has the tools here for you to add a memorial. But it also shows you, once you're logged in here, also the memorials that you're managing currently. So these are memorial pages that I have added to the database. So that's something to keep in mind. When you click, let's go up to the cemeteries tab, and I want to click on that. It's right here. This allows you to do a couple different things. You can search for a cemetery here, or you can add a cemetery if a cemetery has not been included in the database. Most of the time, you'll probably be searching for cemeteries because that becomes a important part of adding a memorial. And one thing I want to note is when you put in a location and Find a Grave, it's going to try to autofill it for you. So the best thing to do is what I do is usually just look for the county. So I type in, you're going to type it all the way out, Kenton County, and see how it kind of tried to populate that for me. You'll have to write it out this way, Kenton County, comma, space, Kentucky. And then I'm going to look for a specific, notice how the map just already populated with all the cemeteries there. That's impressive. And then I can also tell it a cemetery name. So let's do Linden Grove, and it tries to autofill it for you, which let it do that because Find a Grave is very particular about location names and place names. And then just hit search. And it found that cemetery for me. So that's kind of how you do the cemetery search, which is important because you need to know exactly how it's formatted in order to put it into the memorial page. So let's skip to the contribute tools because this is the most important of adding a memorial to Find a Grave. This is where you can add memorials, you can upload photos, you can transcribe other users' photos, you can submit a photo request, you can also suggest edits here. This is for not only edits for your graves, but also for the graves that you have made edits for. So let's go ahead. This is the icon to add memorials. Let's go ahead and click that button. So the first thing when you add a memorial it's going to do is ask you to put in the cemetery name. So let's go to, I'm going to put Linden Grove in here because I'm going to add a memorial for Linden Grove Cemetery today. And then I'm going to tell it that this is in Kenton County, spelled all the way out. And then it tried to populate it for me. So go ahead and click on that. And then you can hit the continue button right here. I just want to point out that if, let's say you're trying to add a memorial for someone that's not buried in a cemetery, you would click this button. And from there, it's going to give you all kinds of options. So sometimes you don't know where someone's buried, or let's say they were in the military and they are lost at sea or buried somewhere unknown. Maybe they were cremated, so they're not in a cemetery. Lost at war. You can even do your animals and pets on Find a Grave. But if you don't know if someone is for sure buried in a cemetery, this is the option that you would pick. But I know that our person today is buried in a cemetery that I'm going to add, so I'm going to unclick this. And I'm going to continue with putting them in Linden Grove Cemetery. And then what it does now is I'm just going to click on this because it's going to confirm that I am putting them into Linden Grove Cemetery. So now we get into the details of adding a memorial. The first line here is for adding their name. So I'm going to go ahead and put this person's name in. James Shadford Easton. Notice here there's an include prefix or suffix box. If you click on that, that'll allow you to add things like doctor, deacon, reverend, medical, all kinds of military acronyms, anything that is a designation that we should add to their name, it'll be there. You can also add a nickname here, like let's say James went by Jimmy, you could put Jimmy here. Or if this was a woman, you could then put her maiden name here in this box. But since it's a male today, we're not going to put anything in those boxes. You do not have to put something in every single box. Keep that in mind. So I'm going to finish the next line, which is gender. He was male. If you're not sure, just leave it blank. You don't have to put that in there. I know sometimes there are records where you might be doing something for like a baby and there's just no gender information available, or if you're not sure, just leave it empty. So the next line is for putting in the birth information. So it starts with the day, the month, and then the year. I don't know this person's exact birthday, so I am going to put in an estimated birthday based on his cemetery card. And I know that I went and looked in the census and that he was born in Ohio. So I am going to go and add Ohio here and click on the drop down to add Ohio. And then from his cemetery card, he died on November, he died in November of 1867. So I'm just going to put that into the database. And he died in Covington. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in Covington, it hasn't quite got there yet, so let's put it in. There it is, Kenton County. All right, so from there, we've got that all added in. And you can click this box, like let's say if he has a grave marker that includes the age at death, you could put that in here. So you could say the years, the months, and the days. He does not have one, so I can't add this information. The bio information box is basically a catch-all box for things that you want to add about this person. For example, I have his burial date as November 19th, 1867. His cause of death was the burial card says hemorrhage of the lung. So I'm just going to abbreviate it because that's how it's abbreviated on the burial card. And then it says that he is in range X, lot 13. And he is interment number 1728. There's all kinds of stuff that you could put in here. You could transcribe an obituary. You could add information about what his occupation was. You could put in a lot of different things here. But I'm just going to put in a few things, that way you can kind of see how that works. And then, so his plot number, I'm going to put in that he is in range X, make that a big X, lot 13. And then if we were in the cemetery, we could actually pin this on the map a little bit better to show people where that is. You can do it on the computer at home, but it's better to do it in the cemetery because it's a little bit more exact. But that is an option to put in the exact GPS burial coordinates. If his stone had an inscription, you would write that here. You only include what is on the grave marker here. And then on the gravesite details, that is where you could put things like he is located next to a willow tree, or he is located in the Easton family's plot. Anything that will give people a clue as to where this is located in the cemetery. And then the last thing here is this a famous person? I'm going to put no, because he is not a famous person, but it's up to you whether or not you think someone is famous or not. And then when I have this all completed, I just go ahead and click this orange add a memorial box. And now he has been added to Find a Grave. His page is live. And if you are wanting to share a page after you've added it, you have a share button here. I highly encourage you, if you're looking to, you could put this on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, or you could email it out. But that is an option there to share. You could also just copy and paste this address up here and share it as well if you wanted to. Now let's say you have done more research on this person and you want to edit it. Next to the edit button here is a drop down. You click that and you can edit the memorial. You could delete it if you needed to delete it, or you could transfer the memorial. One thing I want to say is that Find a Grave has redundancies so that you can't duplicate a memorial. So just keep that in mind. If you are not sure if someone's already had a memorial, please search the database before you add them. But if you, just in case you did duplicate someone, you can delete the memorial later. You can also transfer management, and that means that you could give this memorial to a family member or someone who's connected to this person, and then they would be able to manage the memorial, which means that they would have ownership of it so they can make edits on it whenever they want. All right, so one of the things that you can do on Find a Grave is add photos to the memorial, but you could also request a photo too. I'm going to click on Add Photos. You can add up to 5 images of a memorial or a gravestone or other documents related to this person. Photos cannot be larger than 8 megabytes. That's pretty large. I mean, most cameras will take smaller pictures than that, but just keep that in mind. And that you need to upload them as JPEGs or GIFs. The website does not take like PDFs or anything animated. And you can have others contribute photographs to a memorial so that you can get up to 20 photographs on a particular person. So just keep that in mind, that you can add photographs to a memorial page. Okay, and let's see here. I think that covers most of what you can do here on Find a Grave. I do want to go over one more thing here. These memorial ID numbers are really important. These are how you connect him to his other family members, but what you need is their numbers. So let me go to edit and show you kind of how that would work. So once you've created the memorial page, the edit options kind of change just a little bit. And one of those things is that if you have his father and mother's memorial ID numbers, you can add those here, and then it will link him to his family members. You could also add the memorial ID for his spouse, and then that would link him to his spouse. Just so you know, so it's basically you have to add parents and spouse, but you can't add children to a person. So it only goes one way. Another thing to keep in mind, should this be a problem, you can only add up to 5 spouses. If you come across someone that has more than 5, that would be really entertaining, and I don't know how you would, I guess you would put that in the bio information, but keep that in mind. So you would need to find all of those memorial ID numbers for your person's other family members from their pages. So, and then you would copy those into here, and then you could link him to those pages. All right. So that is a quick introduction here to how to add a memorial and how to link family members here on Find a Grave. If you have any questions about adding a memorial or linking family members or about using the database, please contact me. You can email me at history@kentonlibrary.org or call 859-962-4070. Okay, thank you for joining me today, and I hope you have fun getting started with Find a Grave.